Have you ever wondered what life was like without a clock? Imagine waking up with no alarm, no ticking on the wall, no glowing numbers beside your bed. How would you know when to meet a friend? Or when to plant your crops? It seems almost impossible, doesn't it? Our ancient ancestors didn't have the luxury of a wristwatch, a smartphone, yet they were masters of time in a way that we have almost forgotten. They didn't just tell the hours. They read the vast cosmic clockwork of the universe itself. This wasn't merely about convenience. For them, understanding time's rhythm was a matter of life and death, a secret whispered by the sun, moon, and stars. Life in the ancient world was tied directly to the great cycles of nature. There were no apps to tell you the weather, no supermarkets open all hours. Survival depended on knowing the patterns. When would the rains come? When would the migrating herds return? When was the perfect moment to sow the seeds that would feed your family for the next year? These weren't abstract questions. They were the most important questions of all. To answer them, humanity looked up. The sky was their guidebook, their calendar, and their clock, a beautiful, ever-changing map of what had been and what was to come. It was a relationship built on careful observation, passed down through generations. The sun was the first and most obvious timekeeper. Its daily journey across the sky was a reliable, predictable arc, from the first glimmer of dawn in the east to the final fiery plunge in the west. Its position marked the progress of the day. People noticed how the length of the day changed with the seasons, growing long and lazy in the summer and becoming short and hurried in the winter. This solar rhythm was the fundamental beat of life. The moon, too, played its part. Its waxing and waning phases provided a larger unit of time, a month, which helped track longer periods, essential for planning festivals, hunts, and social gatherings. This celestial dance was about more than just agriculture and survival, as vital as they were. It was also deeply spiritual. The sun and moon were often seen as powerful deities, their movements a divine narrative unfolding above the mortal world. To track their paths was to understand the will of the gods. The solstices and equinoxes, the longest and shortest days, and the days of equal light and dark, were not just astronomical events. They were moments of immense power and ceremony, times when the veil between the heavens and the earth seemed at its thinnest. Timekeeping, therefore, was a sacred duty, a way of keeping the community in harmony with the cosmos. The first tool for taming the sun's power was wonderfully simple: a stick. An ordinary stick pushed upright into the ground became an instrument of genius. The ancient Egyptians, Babylonians, called this stick a gnomon. As the sun moved across the sky, the gnomon cast a shadow that crept across the earth. By watching the shadow's length and direction, people could divide the day into smaller, more manageable parts. A short shadow at midday meant the sun was at its highest point. A long shadow stretching eastward told you the day was ending. It was the world's first clock face, drawn on the very ground they walked upon. This simple idea soon evolved. This led to the invention of the sundial: flat discs, marked stones, lines radiating out from a central gnomon. The Egyptians, around 1500 BC, developed more portable versions, like shadow clocks, shaped like a straight ruler with a raised crosspiece. This allowed merchants, soldiers, officials, to carry a sense of the time with them. It was a remarkable innovation, turning an abstract concept, the time of day, into a tangible, physical measurement you could almost hold in your hands. Of course, the sundial had its limitations. Its usefulness was entirely dependent on the sun. On a cloudy day, it was nothing more than a garden ornament. At night, it was completely useless. Different seasons also presented a problem. The sun's path across the sky changes throughout the year, meaning that the hours measured by a simple sundial were not of a fixed length. An hour in the summer was much longer than an hour in the winter. This concept of temporal hours might seem strange to us, but for the ancients, it made perfect sense. The day, from sunrise to sunset, was simply divided into 12 parts, regardless of its length. To solve these problems, sundial technology became increasingly sophisticated. The Romans, great engineers that they were, created hemispherical sundials, or hemicycliums. These were bowl-shaped instruments where the gnomon's shadow traced a path along its curved surface. This clever design helped to correct for the seasonal variations in the sun's path, making the measurement of time more consistent throughout the year. Great public sundials were erected in town squares and forums, a civic declaration that time was something to be shared, organized, and controlled. It was a way of bringing order to the hustle and bustle of daily life in a sprawling empire. What happens when the sun deserts you, when clouds roll in, or when darkness falls? The sundial is silenced. For a society that needed to measure time at night, for guarding a city, for religious vigils, for legal proceedings, a new solution was required. Not fire, not light, but water. The water clock, the clepsydra, literally water thief, a triumph of ancient ingenuity. It could run day and night, rain or shine. Time could flow like water. The simplest water clock, a vessel with a small hole near the bottom. Fill it with water. The water steadily drips out. You read time by markings on the inside. Simple, beautiful. Used in Athenian courtrooms to limit a lawyer's time. When the water ran out, your time was up. Stop talking. Timekeeping is social and political control, not just farming. But simple clocks had a flaw. As the water level dropped, pressure fell. The drip slowed. The clock lost accuracy. Ancient engineers solved it. In Greece and in Egypt, they developed complex water clocks with feedback mechanisms. Some used cone-shaped containers to compensate pressure change. Others, Ctesibius of Alexandria's magnificent clock. Siphons, gears, moving figurines, pointers marking hours. High-tech of their day, symbols of power and prestige. In China, enormous, intricate water clocks were built for the emperor's court, housed in magnificent clock towers. Not just timekeepers, but astronomical instruments, tracking planets, tracking stars, operated by a dedicated staff of officials. The steady drip equal sign constant orderly flow of time, a metaphor for a stable state. A clock fit for an emperor, powered by a single humble drop of water. While small clocks measured the hours, some ancient cultures thought on a much grander scale. They built colossal clocks made of earth and stone, designed to last for, well, eternity. These were not for telling the time of day, but for marking the time of the year. They were calendars, ceremonial centers, built to align perfectly with the cosmos. Perhaps the most famous of these is Stonehenge in England. For centuries, historians and archaeologists have marveled at this circle of giant stones. It is a precisely engineered astronomical observatory, a silent stone sentinel that has watched the seasons turn for over 4,000 years. On the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, the rising sun shines directly down the main avenue and aligns perfectly with the central stones. On the winter solstice, the shortest day, the setting sun aligns with another key axis. These moments were undoubtedly the focus of immense celebration and ritual. For the Neolithic people who built it, these alignments confirmed that the world was in order. Stonehenge was a way of anchoring their entire culture to the great, unchanging rhythms of the sun. Half a world away, in the jungles of Central America, the Maya civilization developed one of the most complex and accurate calendar systems ever conceived. They weren't just tracking one calendar, they had several, all running simultaneously like interlocking gears. There was the Hab, a 365-day solar calendar for agriculture. The Tzolk'in, a 260-day sacred calendar used for scheduling religious ceremonies. Together, they formed the calendar round, a 52-year cycle. The Maya believed that when a cycle ended, the world was in danger of destruction, requiring special rituals to ensure its renewal. Their understanding of time was profoundly cyclical and deeply intertwined with their cosmology. The Maya also tracked a much longer cycle, known as the long count. This calendar tracked time from a mythical creation date spanning thousands of years. It was this calendar that famously ended a major cycle in 2012, leading to all sorts of wild modern predictions. But for the Maya, it was simply the turning of a great cosmic page, not the end of the world. Their priests were expert astronomers who recorded the movements of Venus and other celestial bodies with incredible accuracy in books called codices. Their cities, with temples and observatories, were oriented to align with key astronomical events. turning the entire landscape into a giant living clock. So, what can we in our hyper-connected digital age learn from these ancient time chasers? We live in a world governed by the nanosecond. Our lives are sliced into tiny, precise units dictated by schedules, dictated by deadlines, dictated by notifications. We have mastered time, or so we think. But perhaps we've lost something fundamental. Our connection to natural rhythms that guided humanity for millennia. We rarely look up at the sky to tell the time or notice the subtle shift in shadow length as the seasons change. We've outsourced our sense of time to devices. Time is not just a number on a screen, it's a physical, tangible experience. The arc of the sun, the slow creep of a shadow, the steady drip of water, the silent turning of the stars. These methods fostered a deep, intimate relationship with nature. Keeping time meant paying attention, observing with patience and curiosity. It connected people to their environment, to their community, and to their place in the cosmos. A more holistic, more human way of experiencing time. This ancient wisdom isn't mere curiosity. It holds a lesson. Put away your phone and look up. Notice where the sun is in the sky. Observe the phase of the moon. Feel the seasons, not just a calendar date, but a real shift in light and air. Reconnect with a rhythm older than any clock. Find a more balanced, less frantic relationship with hours. Ultimately, ancient timekeeping is a story of human ingenuity, curiosity, and our enduring quest for meaning. From a simple stick in the ground to magnificent stone circles to complex water clocks, ancestors used what they had to make sense of the universe and their place in it. They didn't just measure time, they revered it. They built societies, beliefs, and lives around celestial cycles. Their legacy, written in stone and stars, reminds us the most profound clock is the universe itself, if we take the time to look.